Here's your wrestling news for November 24th, 2020. And your headlines for today include, what's holding up Charlotte Flair's WWE return? Aleister Black's status with WWE doesn't look good. WWE has discussed an interesting booking decision for the Royal Rumble winner. Why Big E didn't wrestle at WWE Survivor Series. Roman Reigns' next feud after Survivor Series reportedly revealed. Released WWE wrestler returns to ROH and reforms the Kingdom. 10 years of Angry Miz Girl. Where is she now? 19-year-old wrestler passes away from COVID-19. WWE releases another executive from the company. Edge spotted backstage at WWE Survivor Series, and more. We're kicking off today with news from next year, as the WWE have discussed a very interesting booking decision for the 2021 Royal Rumble winners. During Wrestling Observer Live, Brian Alvarez noted one plan WWE has been considering for a while is to have the last two competitors before the 30th entry eliminate themselves, leaving the 30th entrant to be automatically declared the winner once they enter the ring. He explained, "I can tell you this, they've been considering doing that finish for years. Not with anybody in particular, but I mean, it comes down and there's two guys left and number 30 hasn't come out yet, and the last two people eliminate themselves, and then number 30 saunters on down to the ring and wins. And, I've heard the idea before. I'm not sure if they've ever even considered actually doing it, but people there have told me the idea. That one year, remember when Daniel Bryan was unable to compete and we thought he was retired forever? I heard people suggesting it then, like, well, no one can touch Bryan." We doubt the idea of a Royal Rumble winner doing nothing to win would go down well with fans, but given Vince McMahon is a former Rumble winner, and Lana's recent victory at Survivor Series despite doing relatively little, we know never to say never when it comes to WWE booking. Survivor Series news next, as though dozens of superstars appeared at last Sunday's pay-per-view, Big E wasn't used in a match. Despite being reportedly in the midst of a huge singles push, Big E was instead resigned to accompanying Raw's New Day to the ring, and now we know why he didn't compete. During Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that the Powerhouse didn't compete because his only role of the night was to accompany the New Day and promote their appearance in the Gears 5 video game. It's interesting that a SmackDown superstar accompanied a Raw tag team to the ring, and whilst Big E is reportedly in line for a push on the blue brand, it's clear that WWE is saving that push for another day. SmackDown news now, and Roman Reigns emerged victorious at Survivor Series thanks to some underhanded tactics to defeat WWE Champion Drew McIntyre. We now have an idea of who will be the Universal Champion's next challenger, and according to a report by Cage Side Seats, it'll be Daniel Bryan who steps up to the Tribal Chief. This feud should start soon, presumably after Bryan has one final match with Jey Uso, as it was Jey who defeated Bryan to qualify for the Men's Survivor Series match, and followed this up with a post-match beatdown that kept the former world champion out of action for weeks. As WWE's top heel, it makes sense that Reigns should face one of the most beloved babyfaces of all time, and time will tell how this feud will go, and if Bryan will recruit anyone to help even the odds against Reigns and Uso. Now, Mike Bennett was one of several names released from WWE on April 15th, but now the former 24/7 champion is back in his former stomping grounds. During ROH TV this week, Bennett returned to the company to save his longtime partner Matt Taven, and after the two of them chased off Vincent and Bateman, the two hugged and reunited the Kingdom. There was no sighting of Maria Kanellis during the segment, though we doubt she'll be far behind her husband, and Bennett is clearly being showcased more than he was during his final days in WWE. Over to Netflix, as a new biopic about Hulk Hogan is set to come out, and we'll see actor Chris Hemsworth don the iconic red and yellow, and the Hulkster himself is impressed by what he's seen. On Twitter, Hogan shared a few photos of himself compared to the Marvel star's recent workout shots, and said that Hemsworth doesn't need to work any harder because his pythons are where they need to be. It'll be interesting to see what topics from Hogan's lengthy career are covered for this biopic, but whether it be his initial Hulkamania run, the forming of the NWO, or even his TNA tenure, Hemsworth is gonna be jacked for the role. From one former WWE champion to another, as The Miz is once again Mr. Money in the Bank, and we doubt Cayley, aka the Angry Miz Girl, is too pleased. Fans will remember Cayley's iconic glare when the A-lister cashed in Money in the Bank on the November 22, 2010 edition of Raw, and thanks to an interview conducted by Reddit user Nicholas WWE, we now know what she's been up to. The now 20-year-old Cayley explained that she's taking a year off college to figure out what she wants to do in the future and works 2 jobs as a sales associate in her hometown. She added, "I eventually want to move out of Florida and somewhere up north where it's colder. I'm not really up to anything crazy, just trying to figure out life at the moment." Given how 2020 has been, we can't blame Cayley for trying to figure out life at the moment, and we hope she doesn't have to use her iconic scowl in her 2 jobs. More from Survivor Series as WWE brought a ton of legends back during Survivor Series for The Undertaker's final farewell, and the company made the most of the time they shared together. Several names from the dead man's past had entrances at Survivor Series, including The Big Show, Jeff Hardy, The Godfather, Rikishi, The Godwins, Shane McMahon, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Kane. PW Insider is reporting that WWE's cameras were busy backstage during Survivor Series and recorded plenty of interviews and other footage to be used for upcoming WWE Network specials. It's not every day that so many legends are in the same place, especially given the current situation. WWE obviously knew that they couldn't let this moment take place without recording a ton of footage to use down the line. We've got some sad news to report now, as a 19-year-old UK indie wrestler, Cameron Wellington, has died. Wellington tested positive last Tuesday, and by Wednesday, his mother rushed him to the hospital in Walsall, England, before he died just 48 hours after his positive test result. Wellington was described as fit and healthy before his diagnosis, and within an hour of dropping him off at the hospital, his mother was told his oxygen levels were plummeting. It's always sad to lose someone in our wrestling community, especially a young name that was just getting started, and our deepest thoughts go out to Cameron's family and other loved ones at this time. Back to WWE, and Charlotte Flair hasn't been seen on WWE TV since June, and now it looks like fans could be waiting even longer for her return. During her time away, the Queen has undergone a surgery she'd been putting off and focused on her acting work, and during Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer said it could be a while, as he's not even heard a return date being discussed backstage. The timeline of Flair's return has changed multiple times since her departure began, as in August, Ric Flair said she'd be out of action for as long as a year, which was later denied by Charlotte herself. A separate report has stated that Flair will be back next month, but with Meltzer not being aware of any return date, this too seems unlikely. Of course, it's possible that Flair could be a surprise return in January's Women's Royal Rumble, a match she won this year, but for now, it could be a while before the Queen returns to the ring. Aleister Black news next, as the former NXT champion slipped down the WWE roster following his call-up, and things aren't looking good for the Dutchman. According to Meltzer, Black has been entirely forgotten about by WWE's creative team, and things don't seem to be improving for the former champ. Meltzer said, "It doesn't look good. I know he threw a suggestion out there to go to NXT and that was turned down or whatever, it was not taken. The people in charge now don't see anything in him, it appears. It's tough, he's a talented guy." Black was already hardly being used before his wife Zelina Vega was released from the company, and given her very unfair departure which saw her be escorted out of the Thunderdome, don't be too surprised if Black isn't too far behind. Speaking of departures, WWE recently made some big changes to 3 executive positions, and now another name has gone. According to PW Insider, Pat Murrin has left WWE after working as Senior Vice President for Data Strategy since 2016. Murrin is just the latest name to be gone, and it seems that several names who are either leaving or being fired are from the time when George Barrios and Michelle Wilson were serving as co-presidents of WWE. It appears WWE will continue their proverbial changing of the guard, as Murrin joins Mark Cole, John Brody, and Brian Nurse, who all left executive positions in the past week, and clearly a change is coming to WWE, at least in the executive position. More Survivor Series news next, as this year's show wasn't just the 30th anniversary of The Undertaker, but also 3 decades since the debut of the Gobbledygooker. It was therefore only fitting that the Gooker emerged and captured the 24/7 title at Survivor Series, and now we know who donned the costume. PW Insider is reporting that it was Drew Gulak in the Gooker suit, but he won't get credit for the win, as Gooker's name now appears in the list of champions. Gulak is just the latest name to portray the much-panned character, as Hector Guerrero portrayed the Gooker at his 1990 debut and at WrestleMania X7, whilst Maurice donned the costume for the November 23, 2009 edition of Raw. Gulak's Gooker reign as 24/7 champion didn't last long, as he later lost the gold to Akira Tozawa, who lost the title back to R-Truth, but now, 30 years after his debut, the gobbledygooker officially enters WWE's record of champions. One man who was at Survivor Series was Triple H, who spoke highly of The Undertaker during the final farewell, and had even more to say away from the cameras. Whilst speaking to Sports Illustrated recently, the Game spoke about when he first began dating his future wife Stephanie McMahon and how, unsurprisingly, many on the roster didn't like him dating the boss's daughter. He said, "Taker was one of the people I saw for counsel. A lot of people were very critical of it, but he was a steady, trusted voice. That's really what he's always been for me." The Game went on to explain that 4 years later in 2003, when he and Stephanie were getting married for real, he went to the Phenom with a huge request. "I pulled him aside and said, 'We have a wedding coming up, and I'd be honored if you'd be one of my groomsmen.' The only people I thought of asking were the people I thought of as brothers to me, and the majority of those people are from this business. This is my life, and he's like a brother to Steph, too." Clearly, The Undertaker's presence in the ring is only matched by the respect he has backstage, and though they fought countless times in the ring, The Undertaker and Triple H are evidently close. Raw news next is WWE Champion Drew McIntyre needs a challenger, and now we have an idea of who he'll face. On this week's show, 3 matches were set up to determine 3 challengers, and now the winners of those matches, Riddle, Keith Lee, and AJ Styles, will face off next week to determine McIntyre's next contender. It's been reported that Braun Strowman will find his way into this match after he was barred from the Thunderdome this week for assaulting Adam Pearce, and time will tell whether next week's triple threat becomes a fatal 4-way thanks to the Strowman Express. Back to Survivor Series, as the dead man's final farewell may be truly final after all. According to our sources, The Undertaker told people backstage post-pay-per-view that he is retired for good this time, and it's expected that Vince McMahon won't call on him to wrestle again. Vince reportedly found it tough to let the Undertaker character go, but he realized it's time for the Phenom to retire. That being said, there were some superstars who joked that the dead man could be brought back for the next Saudi Arabia show, but after such a fitting send-off, hopefully the Undertaker character can truly rest in peace from now on. And we're ending with news from Survivor Series, as Edge was at the show, but didn't show up on screen. Not only that, but Taker's wife Michelle McCool and family members were backstage, but weren't shown, though they could always be featured on the video footage recorded behind the scenes. Regarding producers, Michael Hayes put together the incredible Drew McIntyre vs. Roman Reigns match, whilst Tyson Kidd built the women's matches, with assistance for the women's elimination match by Pat Buck, who also produced the match between the tag champions. Chris Park, aka Abyss, constructed the men's Survivor Series match, whilst Jason Jordan interestingly built the match between Sami Zayn and Bobby Lashley. And though these producers worked hard, they have no time to rest, with WWE TLC fast approaching.